Good evening, everyone. The Spanish Grand Prix has been around for a lot longer than people might actually realise. The first Grand Prix officially was held in 1913, and whilst the track at the time was effectively near Madrid at a place called Guadarrama, it wasn't quite close enough to call it a Madrid Grand Prix necessarily. Over the years and pre-war days, it raced at Lasart, not too far away from Bilbao. But it was really during the time of Formula One that the Spanish Grand Prix started to find its feet. Firstly at Pedralbes in the 1950s, before moving over to Jarama and Montjuic Park, two tracks that have been sort of classified as legendary circuits in their own right for the fearsome speeds that the cars used to do back in the 60s. It faced some challenges after those. Grand Prix fell away, but it did come back at Jerez, and then of course the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. But after 40 years, Formula One is back in Madrid. Welcome to round number 3 of season 24 here with Invictus Racing League. I'm Jatia53, your commentator, as always, for the championship, and this is a brand new adventure for everybody. The Madrid ring, however you wish to call it, is unique to a lot of people, and there's comments from those who don't really know the layout necessarily of this racetrack. It is fast and flowing, it is technical as well, and one of the key elements of this circuit is it has undulation and camber for as long as you can possibly imagine. There's a lot to look at this circuit. It certainly will be throwing up some interesting results this evening. Expect safety cars aplenty as we go around what is going to be the infamous turn 12 banking. We'll go on board with a lap with somebody. I think there's a Haas near the front of the field, and I believe that is going to be, well, it's either a Haas or a Clips Kerry, one of the two. I think it's going to be Aaron, isn't it? Yes, Aaron's going to go on to the first flying lap with Invictus Racing League around the Mad Ring. But I'm going to go on board with Clips. That's what I'm going to do. To take us around this 5.4 kilometre circuit. Here we go then. Towards the first two corners, left and a right. Kind of spot your breakers, and it's very blind going into the furniture there. Over the curb, over the left hand side, and then onto the undulating part of turn 3. This bit completely flat towards turn 4, where there'll be a heavy braking zone that'll lead us into the first of the tighter chicanes on this track. Down through the gears, you've got to really try and attack the curves, which Clips Kerry does. Through 6 and 7 effectively, and then up to another heavy braking zone into turn 8, and he almost skips into the barrier. Little kick of oversteer on the exit of turn 9 and into turn 10 and 11, which will set you up for the infamous bowl of turn 12, almost Zandvoort-esque. At turn 12 it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever, and you're still going round there before you move over to the right hand side for turn 13, another heavy braking zone into that left-hander, 4th gear for the Cadillac man. Over the curb at turn number 14 and into 15. These corners are so blind, it's very, very challenging to get the car lined up correctly into the next heavy braking stop and under the spectator area at turn number 17. 18 and 19 are relatively straightforward corners to navigate around, and there's two big final stops. The first one here into the left-hander, it kicks up tight at the exit of that one, into the right-hander, square right-hander at turn 21, and a blast to the final corner at turn 22. A little bit faster, that corner, than the other ones he's just navigated, and Clips goes through on a 131.94. I said it was fast, I said it was flowing, but it is also technical. And I'm going to ride on board with the drivers for most of the time to give you all a bit more of an idea of how this circuit flows. Hello to everybody who is in the comments. Good to see Björn. He's glad that he could skip this one. PGS, good to see you. ARL saying he's having some issues with the graphics driver again. Nightmare for him. As it stands, the only racing bull out there is our championship leader in the form of Ashtube. Jeremy Clarkson, fastest driver on circuit at the minute, and we've got what looks to be one of the Audis behind us. I don't know whether that's Chuck or Mercked. It was Mercked, who is on an outlap in the R26. But Clarkson the fastest so far. He has been electrically fast in this championship so far, has Jeremy. But we'll have to wait and see whether he can manage to achieve a good result today. He got one last week, and he had another one as well. As I said, this track very undulating. There's all sorts that can go wrong around here. We'll go on board with Mercked for another lap of the Madrid. It's certainly not an easy track to navigate. It's got a number of unique challenges, and I think the braking zones into blind chicanes are going to be one issue for the drivers to remember quite importantly during the course of the race. We do have 34 laps effectively here tonight. You see as Mert tries to attack this chicane. Ooh, I can see somebody attacking that a bit too much tonight and hitting the barriers. Same with this part at the top here. I think Mert was very close to track limits there. And the way that the track tightens up on the exits as well, you can't afford to be lackadaisical with your turning in. You have to be sharp and on it. Any hesitation, I can see drivers hitting the wall. You can see that banking there on the outside at 12. It's so steep on the inside. Into 13. Drivers trying to push the limits. Into 14. Then into 15. Technically one whole corner is 15, and then got to downshift through the gears to 17 over the curb, which I think will bounce a few people off the wall tonight. And then these long sweeping left and right. Wow, Merck knows this track already. He's got himself dialed in. This little part of the circuit reminds me of the Detroit circuit back in the 1980s that raced in Formula One and in IndyCar over the time. Just remind me that little bit, just the way it tightens up on the exit. But Merck's coming towards the line, and that's a 130.5. We do have a big spread in the field of 5 seconds. I think that'll just come down to preparation, realistically. Kasser saying good luck to everyone, which is very kind of you, Kasser, to say to everyone. I'm sure some people will be wishing for the worst. I'm not one of those people, of course, in the commentator's booth. As the Aston Martin flies. Oh, I think Jeremy's hit the wall, actually, out on circuit. Yeah, he'd already broken his front wing before that point. So this is what I talked about before, everyone. I expect tonight to not go without incident. It would be a surprise if we had a race without a safety car. I don't know if there are any predictions in the comments area to how many safety cars they expect for tonight's action. I'll let you decide in the YouTube comments below. AshTube not on a lap at the moment. Of course, as I said before, the championship leader here after the first 2 rounds of the season so far of 24. We are still waiting to see if ARL can get in those. Oh, as AshTube hits the wall. See, that's what I mean. If you meander a little bit around the circuit, it really can cause problems. But a big spread in the field this evening. And we will be announcing the drivers who will be split into their respective tiers in the coming days. We haven't done that just yet because we have had two quite conventional circuits. But here tonight for round 3, this certainly you can see the level of preparation between the drivers who are the faster drivers and the ones who perhaps aren't the same speed as them. And that's absolutely fine. That's what it's all about here. Invictus is promoting a lot of diversity amongst everybody in terms of ability. Ginger Tiger on an outlap and the McLaren. Good to see Ginger back actually. He wasn't here last week. Nice to have the McLaren driver back out on circuit. RTG Chuck, ATK as well back tonight. Wacky Jackie in the Williams, and I think that's a broken front wing on the Williams. Yes, it is. So that's going to have to go back to the pits. The War Islander. Good to see the War Islander back. Nitrogash as well, just coming around the final corner and clobbers the wall as he was about to go on to a faster lap. Non-ideal. Oh, Stephen has got a lap time in, and Mikey, I don't know if Mikey has yet ventured out of the garage. I wonder if this is going to be similar to his Singapore cameo where he did 5 corners before crashing into the wall. The director of the Invictus Racing League has a point to prove in his Cadillac. I've got a yellow flag out there. I think that's just for a slow Williams. I don't think it's for a car that's stationary. But that yellow flag's lasted for quite a long time. What's frustrating as well is we can't actually see how long is left in the qualifier session. Now we can. Ooh, you don't want to do a David Coulthard wacky because that'll end up being on your CV forever. The Warhander flicks it in for the right-hander underneath the bridge at turn 17. And the War Islander just trying to find some space. Quite congested at this part of the track as Nitrogash's teammate Ginger flies on through. Over the curb at the right-hand side. Into the final corner for the McLaren. Looking like a solid lap this from Ginger. What's the lap time? Into the 1:31s from the McLaren. 7 minutes to go in qualifying. Aaron's back in the pit. O'Stevens ventured out. And Nitrogash has improved as well. A second off of his teammate as it stands. ATK out there as well. Just bouncing over the curbs at turn 6. And then through the right-hander and the left-hander at turn 10 and 11, and that's into the wall. And I wonder if that's an end plate gone. He's certainly backed out of the lap, and it looks like he has. And ARL has managed to get in. That's good news. So Ashtube's teammate, he'll have another bow added to his string in the form of his teammate, because the 2 Racing Bulls actually do lead, incredibly, the Constructors' Championship. Between the two of them on 36 points. So that is an important milestone. Let's hope that ARL doesn't suffer with any graphics issues. That's a Ferrari in the background of Sydney having a huge power slide out of turn 17. Just about. Oh, and then he hits the wall. Maximum commitment from the Ferrari and maximum damage almost into the barriers. And he'll have to go back to the pits. And this is what I was saying before. This is not going to be a race without incidents. Absolutely not. The drivers are going to find this to be a true challenge of their patience as much as anything. Top 4 all in the pits. RTG Chuck has done a good lap time to go 5th. So the Audi driver. We didn't have any Audis at the start of the season, but we've got 2 in for this evening. We do have a couple of drivers unable to race this evening. We are actually at a full lobby. For season 24, but we just haven't had the chance to show that because people have been on holiday. There's been issues, all sorts of stuff going on, and I don't believe that'll be the case next week either. I believe Clips Kiri is going on holiday, so we could end up having 19 drivers rather than the full complement of 22. RCT though on a in lap, I believe, and the War Islander I imagine is going to come back to the pit. Does look like he's attacking the lap, but he's not using any battery at all. As the Red Bull banks around turn 12. I know that ARL's in the Red Bull, but that's not correct. He is actually racing for the sister team. Into turn 13. Goes the War Islander into 14. Yellow flag out there, but that's for a slow-moving Jeremy Clarkson who's just come out of the pits. Certainly does seem that the game is tripping up some yellow flags for slower cars, so that might be something we'll have to navigate this evening. Into 19, the final 3 corners coming up now, turn 20. It's just that bit over there that just reminds me of Detroit back in the 1980s. Into the right-hander. It kind of follows, it very strangely follows a similar flow to that circuit. If you've never watched any onboard videos from the IndyCar in the 80s, go check it out. It's not only because it's a decent sport to watch, but also some of the tracks that they use are fascinating. They don't really get used anymore, but they certainly had concrete jungles out there. There's Jeremy back out. 3.5 minutes to go in qualifying. Sydney and Merck, the familiar set of names at the top of the timesheets. Then it's Jeremy and it's Ash Tube on row 2. RTG and Owen, 5th and 6th. Clips and Ginger are on row 4. Iran and Nitrogas round up the top 10. ATK and the War Islander are on row 6 with Wacky. I know Stephen on row 7. ARL and Mikey are on row number 8. As the McLaren, and I'm going to say that was Nitrogas actually, who's coming out of the pits now. Of course, we can't see that because he's still going down the pit limiter lane. And the interesting thing as well about the pit exit as Nitrogas now bundles out of the pits is that the pit lane feeds out on the exit, not of turn 1, but of turn 3. So it does cut the first part of the corner out, the first part of the lap out. So that'll be something the drivers will just have to try and get used to, I think, a little bit more than what they would do typically. ARL saying that wasn't stressful. Can certainly imagine it was, but well done for getting in. Just having a look at the driver's room, seeing what the team are saying. Everyone quite friendly in the comments. Well, everyone basically taking the mick out of one another, but everyone does help, which is really nice to see. As Nitrogas circulates on this outlap. And of course we are on round 3. 5 races to go after this one, where we'll be heading off to Mexico next Monday. And ATK is out of the session, so there's not going to be any more improvements from him as drivers now start going on to their lap time. So let's see if we can find Sydney. He's not on a... Is he on a lap? It looks like he is on a lap. But it almost... Yeah, I think he had backed out of it. So he's got to try and save as much battery as he can here. But I don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to come around the final corner with about 70%. That's going to cost him on the lap. Keep an eye on that one. Jeremy is out there. He is on a lap and he's flying in the first sector actually as the Aston Martin. He's on a mission. He's half a second up. Nitrogas is retired in the pits, so that's him done for qualifying. Not much time left at all. I'm just looking at, I think it's going to be the Red Bull of the War Islander who'll be the last driver to get a lap time on the board, if it's a valid lap time. So he goes round, 20 seconds to go. So War Islander will get everything underway. And Jeremy Clarkson is the first person we watch with vested interest here, as he comes into the final couple of corners on the lap, into turn number 20. Lost a little bit of traction on the exit there, committed through 21. And is this going to be a big improvement for one of the drivers who's looked mightily quick? It is. It's a 1:29 from Jeremy Clarkson. Fabulous lap. Just looking to see, it's going to be Iran towards the start-finish line. He doesn't improve his position. So Clips Kiri, the next car to come along. And then I believe it's going to be... Well, it won't be Clips Kiri anymore. It is going to be the... It's going to be the Ferrari of Sydney. into the final corner. He's not going to improve on that lap. That's that done. What about Merckx? Close for Merckx. It's going to be very tight. Well, I was just about to say, Merckx with a great lap. Aschib hitting the wall on the exit, but it was still good enough for third. Owen gets himself up into 6th place. O'Stephen is 13th across the line, so we wait for the War Islander. The only driver who can prove gets himself into the top 10. And that is qualifying over, and it's Merckx on pole position. Not by much, by about a 10th and a half. Less than a 10th and a half, actually, for the Audi driver. But Mattia Binotto, who declared at the start of the season that Audi will be targeting a championship challenge, well, Merckx got other ideas. Just got a message from ARL. He's just saying that his controls have appeared to have messed up a little bit. But let's go through these qualifying standings. It's Merckx followed by Jeremy Clarkson on the front row of the grid. Aschib and Sydney make a Dutch row 2. Ginger Tiger in 5th position, his best qualifying of the season, with Owen alongside him. RTG Chuck is 7th with Clips in 8th. Iran and the War Islander are in the top 10 with Nitrogash and ATK on row 6. O'Stephen and Wacky Jackie are on row 7, and ARL and Mikey not setting a lap time in the end. So we will have racing action from Madrid for the first time, effectively in 40 years. Jarama was the last time we can really say that Formula One raced around Madrid. I know that Jarama is in the suburbs of the city, but it does still count. Looks like there's a little bit overcast for the race. We'll have to see if anything changes from there. Evening to Big C and to Mikey. Hi Mikey, hope you're doing okay. No lap time from yourself, Mikey. I'm just wondering if that's because you're terrified of what's about to happen. But as I was saying before, you know, Spain and the Spanish Grand Prix, it's been around for a long time. I think the first race was back in 1913. So it is one of the oldest races in the motorsport calendar, just not necessarily at the same track. I do know that the first ever winner of the Spanish Grand Prix, in quotation marks, was a guy called Giosuè Gipponi. He had a fascinating career, actually. He originally started out as a cyclist on the track, so he used to do 4x800 metres, and then he did the miles, and then he became a motorbike rider, raced in the Isle of Man TT back in the 1900s, and then ended up transitioning to cars. He raced in effectively the Peugeot Talbots back then, so Gippone had quite a storied career. It did sadly end rather abruptly, as did most of pre-war race drivers back then. He was racing in a small coupe championship, I think, if memory serves me correctly. And back in those days, in the 1900s and 1910s, they were racing on open roads. And I believe Gippone was racing along at high speed. He saw a cyclist appear right in front of him, and he had to swerve to avoid it. But sadly, his car left the road, and that was that for Giosuè. I'm having a bit of a struggle this evening. Must be the heat. Giosuè Gipponi, sadly, in the end, and which was a great shame. Put the end to one of Peugeot's finest drivers. There's quite a lot of history to do with Peugeot and pre-war racing, but I won't bore everybody to death with that. Mikey saying he was actually sorting bits in the background and left it a tad late. Yeah, that's definitely the case, Mikey. Hope you enjoyed your tea. That's the most important thing. Just so you've got your nutrition ready for the race ahead. If you are watching, and I know there's quite a few of you who are today, please do leave a like on the stream. It does mean a lot to our channel. Gives a little bit more promotion and visibility within the YT algorithm, which is difficult to try and navigate nowadays anyway. I suppose it's a little bit the same on the social media side of it as well now, with TikTok and Instagram, and with X and Facebook. The algorithm, it's always competing, unfortunately. Mikey saying, don't forget the toast. That's very true. That is very true. But as I was saying before, the Spanish Grand Prix has got a lot of history, and I think the Madrid, it's got a lot to try and live up to as we go on to the formation lap here. 16 cars will take the start as they come towards the first corner here at this circuit. We will have a plethora of different tyre options. How many of those will be made irrelevant by safety cars, we'll have to wait and see. But effectively, the top 6 all on the mediums. Then it's Chuck on the hard white wall Pirelli compound tyre. Clips and Aaron are on the mediums, followed by the War Islander on hards. Nitro ATK are on mediums, O'Stephen on the hards. Wacky Jackie on the mediums, and then ARL and Mikey at the back. Those 2 are on the hard tyres. Don't forget those 2 not setting a lap time. I'll have to wait and see if they have done enough practice to help them out. But 57 laps would be the full race distance. Of course, here at Invictus Racing League we do a 50% race, so that will be effectively 34, 33 laps, depending on what the game decides within the settings. Now, whilst we're waiting, just a quick one of the top 10 of the drivers' standings. So Ash Tube, who's third on the grid at the minute, he is on 31 points. He leads the drivers' standings. Sydney is second on 27. Jeremy Clarkson is third on 19 points, following his great performances last week at Imola, recovery drives. Merckx is fourth on 17, following his win last week in the feature race. Then it's Aaron in fifth place in the Haas. He is on 16. Clips Kiri is 6th. He is on 15 points, tied with the War Islander, who of course had 2 really good set of races last week at the Imola circuit, did the War Islander. Then it's O'Stephen. He is on 8 points in 8th place. He's tied with Hulkenberger, who sadly isn't racing this evening, and nor is SFR Matty for that matter as well in the Red Bull. Those are your top 10. In the constructors' standings, it's Racing Bulls, that's Ashtube and ARL, are on 36 points in front of Ferrari, which is Sydney and Luke on 30. Aston Martin are third, which is Jeremy Clarkson, FRL O'Stephen. It's the War Islander and SFR Matty of Red Bull on 23, and Haas are fifth on 20, which is Irun and Ira, as Ashtube pulls himself very slowly into position, actually, compared to everybody else. He's taking his time. I wonder if he's done that deliberately. I don't know. Now, Merckx has got his car angled towards Jeremy already. A couple of cars out of position for the start here in Madrid. But we are about to get underway for what will be the first time for Invictus Racing League here at Madrid. And the race is live here from Madrid. It looks like a good start for Merckx. He's going to cover the inside line towards turn 1. Jeremy Clarkson looking to go the long way round as the Cadillac of Clips Kiri moves about in the background, trying not to make any contact. Chuck is on the inside of Owen, who almost clips the wall as they approach. Whoa, big snap of oversteer as we ride on board of Clips. But Ginger Tiger having to fend off these 2 as Chuck looks to the inside. At the next couple of corners, they're going to have to be very careful into this left-right, and they're all over the curb, and into the wall goes Owen with Chuck, and there's more carnage in the background as O'Stephen gets turned around, and we're going to have some broken front wings, and Owen's going to miss the chicane, and he's going to retire from the session. He's left. Well, I mean, that has already said a lot, unfortunately, and Mikey's gone off the road. So a nightmare start for a bunch of drivers, and Chuck went off at that complex of corners at turn 5 and 6. I said it was going to be a problem, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. But Jeremy Clarkson's got into the lead. We haven't seen it, but the Aston Martin's got the front. Merckx is second, Ashtube is third, and it's Sydney in 4th place. And you feel that these 4 are probably going to drive away from the rest of the pack now, and Ginger Tiger will be fighting with Clips and Aaron, the War Islander, Jackie, Nitro, ATK and ARL. They've all got through that relatively unscathed. But Owen already a retirement, and I wonder how fed up the Mercedes driver is at the minute. I can't sadly remember the last time that Owen finished a race without being involved in some nonsense, but Jeremy Clarkson leads. It was a good moment for him to get in front, but of course overtake is now available, the extra horsepower that's available for the drivers. This is one of the straight mode areas on the racetrack, only one of two. As Mert comes into this, oh wow, how much did you see how much air he got over the chicane there? Wow, that's an incredible amount, as 80k has got in front of Jackie and Nitrogash. So nice bit of work that from the Mercedes to move into 9th position. Did that using the battery boost. There's ARL just in 12th position. Looks like he's okay for now. And oh, Stephen is out there too. Not sure if Stephen got any damage from his contact at the start. Chuck, sadly, does have damage. And Mikey in the pits as this group, wow, over the turn 12 crest we go. And Nitrogash makes an overtake. And I think that was War Islander going past Iran. So the Red Bull moves inside the top 7. Now, can he make any progress up towards Clips and Ginger, who are already 3 seconds behind the top 4, showing you the difference realistically between tiers of drivers there. Jeremy Clarkson leads them onto lap number 3. Mercked in one of the straight line overtake areas, but just choosing to save a little bit of battery. I think that was Jackie having a moment, and here comes ARL. He's going to move up into 11th place, and Jackie can't really do too much about that. He does run into the back of the Red Bull, who's now was harvesting a little bit of power there, but decides then to detonate the battery. We know that because of the ADUO, the adjustment on the engine levels, we know that the Red Bull has got a strong engine, but of course in Invictus we run equal performance. Oh, and I think that's the War Islander who's gone off and hit the wall. Well, I said that would be a corner of the racetrack. And that's a full-blown front wing change for the War Islander, and that's brought out the virtual safety car. So the War Islander has gone off at turn 8, which just tightens up on the inside. Let's just follow up Chuck through this part as Wacky Jackie picks up a 10-second penalty. And sadly, he's going to have to serve that. But we said before in qualifying that would cause problems, and it absolutely has already. Mikey, I feel, has been in the pits for a long time. I'm not sure what's happened to the Cadillac, and Jackie has retired from the session, so we've lost 2. The Madring has already claimed 2 drivers, which is a high mortality rate, shall we call it. As Stephen goes past the War Island. I wonder if the War Islander just went off the road there. We are back under green flag running. That's a nice line from Jeremy Clarkson. And he's going to get a little bit of boost from Mikey, who will just move out of the way. I look at the Audi closing all the time. But the front 2 have managed to pull away here from Ashtube, who's just about hanging on. And Sydney has had an issue with a broken front wing. I thought Sydney had fallen away, and I think Mikey's just gone into the wall and he's out. And that is a full-blown safety car. So 3 drivers in the space of 3 completed laps are gone. Mikey got a DSQ for that. He did crash into the wall, and now he's retired from the session. Well, we did catch the end of that, but 3 drivers have gone. And that has been a dramatic opening portion to this race. Jackie, Mikey and Owen are out, and thanks to Mikey leaving the session, we've lost the host, which is non-ideal. And hopefully we'll be able to get back going. And it does say that we have got an issue. So it does say we're going to have to, we might have to restart here, because this has certainly thrown everything all out of whack. Which certainly isn't ideal, is it, for everyone? But when Mikey left, I think everyone's having a bit of a chat about it, and people are starting to leave. So we're going to have to get this going again, I believe. We're just going to we are in at the moment. We are going to just have to wait. Clips is going to look to set up a new lobby, and we will go by grid order. It will be a full-blown restart because well, that was unexpected. So I think everyone is going to have to yeah, it does look as if Clips is going to be sorting it. So apologies for any confusion. Yeah, it looks as if what has happened is the lobby has reset itself. And we're going to leave as well. Of course, what has also happened from my perspective is I can't leave the lobby. I'm stuck. So I was about to leave, but now I can't leave the lobby because it's saying please wait. And that's the problem, because I'd just like to get involved with the action. I'm getting a message to say restart the game, but I don't want to restart the game. There we go. That's why I didn't, because I've got back to it. I didn't want to restart the game because what happens there is that it means that the whole stream gets reset, and I don't want to do that. So just having a look through. So we had only completed effectively 4 laps of the race, which means that we can go again with 100%. Although I have just had tried to join, and then it's just said that it's not working. Right, hopefully this will work. This one from Clips. Yes, there we are. We are now in. Everyone's saying, oh, it's now saying that the lobby no longer exists. That's just F126, ladies and gentlemen. Just giving us all sorts of drama and issues that we don't necessarily need. Now, of course, in the event of an issue like this, typically what happens if a lobby fails, we are more than able to just go restart. Apologies, I am coordinating with the I am coordinating with the league coordinator right now. Eclipse has invited me back in. So what will happen on this restart is that we will have Clips set the lobby up. It'll be, just for Aaron's benefit, it will be taken at grid order. Although to be fair, just having a look here, from what I can see, I believe that there is technically no provision on... Yes, there is no provision on people who DNF'd to be restarted, but taking that from the past, those people that crashed out, which were of course Owen, Jackie and Mikey. I know Mikey can't take the restart anyway, they'll be out. So our qualifying order won't be used, it'll actually be a red flag, and we'll go from our standing order, which is Jeremy, Mercked, Ashtube, Sydney, those are your top four, Ginger, Clips, Aaron, Nitrogash, ARL, ATK, O Stephen, Chuck and the War Islander. That'll be your 13 drivers. Okay, so we're just getting everybody back into the lobby. So yeah, I'm just having to talk to people who are asking a bunch of questions. No. I'm just answering as many questions as I can. Which is a bit difficult for me because I'm commentating but also having to appease the drivers. well, not appease the drivers is not the right word, but explain the situation to the drivers. So what I can now do is kind of report to everybody who's watching on the stream. So in the event of a lobby crash, it takes the same regulation as RE2. If you don't know what RE2 is, effectively mass disconnections, but RE1 copies it. If less than 10% of the race distance has been completed, then the drivers would, who even if they DNF'd, would be allowed to take the start. But unfortunately, we were already on lap 4. 10% of the race is lap 3. So unfortunately for Jackie, he retired early, so he went out. Mikey would be the only one who could return because he was on lap 3, but alas, he can't actually come back in. We'll just also have a look for Clips' benefit whilst he's blessing me, he's trying to set everything up. Corner cutting stringency should be on strict, and it is. So that will explain a few irregularities, let's call them. And we should have all of our drivers back into the lobby. So we'll have qualifying removed, Clips will set the grid, and then we'll go into the race. And now that Clips has got everything sorted, we are good to go. J Ray saying, are the people who DNF getting a second chance to? No, you're correct. No worries everyone, just takes a while. I mean, realistically, in an ideal world, Mikey would be available, but I know some emergency stuff has gone. It's one of those things, really, for us this season. Whilst we're waiting, I'll just fill in the air a bit. It is like impossible that like this season 24. Not only did it, in theory, start at the wrong time because the F126 DLC got announced just as we were gearing up to race on the F125 cars. I've spoke about this before within the community. You know, I've had bereavements, Mikey's had bereavements, everyone in the admin team, you know, that's including Jordan, Lee, Daryl, even a couple of the other team as well, in terms of Luke. We've all had some form of issue that has dramatically impacted us behind the scenes. It's just one of those seasons that are cursed almost. And it's been very, very difficult trying to get everything set up. And if it comes across as a little bit like it's haphazard, unfortunately, by design, that's kind of happened already. But mercifully, we are about to go racing again, which is what we're about here at Invictus. And we're all going to get it sorted. IRL saying, pay rise for Jack needed. If only I got paid. Now, we are about to get underway here for the action at Invictus race. I do get paid for commentary, actually. Not with IRL, but I won't speak more about stuff outside of here. Sydney has asked, can we just do Mexico now and wait and delay Mexico? Do Madrid next week? No, it will prolong the suffering of everybody else. We are going to get everything underway for round 3. A restart has happened. A little bit frustrating. We are going to have another formation lap. Yes, whilst we are a little bit behind, let's be honest, it could be a lot worse. So, IRL has also put a good little post in there to say, remind everybody to put their setups on the car for all 13 drivers that remain in this session. So that effectively means that only one driver is not going to score a point this evening, as it stands. As I take a little drink out of my chilled iced drink just there. Looks like we've got the overcast weather back again. Yeah, one of the regulations within Invictus is that it is a case of if it was below 10% of the race, you know, if it was a DNF or something along those lines and there was a lobby failure, everyone could restart. But Alas, that's not the case. Once you go past that 10% point, it kind of becomes a bit more vague. So there's a specific rule that says 10 to 25%. That's where it all changes out a little bit, where everyone has to make sure that they are in. In fact, I'll just read you the regulation whilst I'm here. Yeah, so if between 10 and 25%, all retirements and in-game penalties will be carried over into the new lobby. So there we are. In the regulation, this again, we're in a bit of a grey area here, because if you this is where things get more confusing, and I have to try and balance it out for everyone who's listening, because you can't see the regs in the same way that I can. If a driver has retired before 10%, that means they're out, even if the lobby gets restarted. If the driver retires on 10%, even if it's 10.5, they can't rejoin. But because the race had done 3 laps but hadn't completed a 4th, it technically doesn't count as a between 10 and 25%. So that means the race has to get restarted as a 50% race. It's really complicated. It's really complicated. But hopefully that makes sense to everyone. We are going to get things underway here. This is only the first part of the chaos and carnage that we have already seen here. I will also say, for everybody who is watching at home as Jeremy Clarkson comes towards the final corner at turn 22, if the race gets over 60% race distance, so that would be lap number 17 or 18, I believe. If the race gets to that point and we have another failure in the lobby, the race doesn't get restarted. That's it. The results will get taken from there. And we will assess everything from that point forward. Half points could be applied, etc. War Islander, though, is coming into his grid box here. The Audi of Chuck is there as well. So a nice chance for everyone to get things underway again. We've got a slightly different tyre strategy here for the second attempt of the running at the Madrid. And the race is live here from Madrid. It's a good start again from Merck, but he's not at the front row this time. And Jeremy Clarkson, well, he leaves the room to go up the inside, side by side through turns 1 and 2. And the Aston Martin retains the lead. A bit of a slide for Merck on the exit of the corner, and that has promoted an opportunity to Ashtube, but he will be on the outside line, heading towards turn 5 and 6. I think Merck's going to try and just defend that line into the corner. He does do. We flick through all the drivers. Everyone navigates those corners relatively safely, although War Islander did nudge the back of O'Stephen there. Not ideal. As they go up the hill into the next couple of corners at turns 8 and 9, down through the hill towards turn 10. That little right-hand kink actually isn't a corner. We watch the drivers as they come through turn 12. Sydney very close to the back of Ashtube. He's going to be on the inside line. He dives one to the inside. Sydney is just about left enough space for Ashtube to retain 3rd position. Ginger just watching this in earnest, hoping somebody crashes. Clips is then in 6th position as they go under the bridge for the first time, technically. Or the 5th time, if you want to be pedantic. As Clips bundles his car through the sweeper of 19. And interestingly, everyone in the top 11 are on the medium compound tyres. And then O'Stephen and War Islander are at the back on the hards. But Iran has already got some pressure telling on the back of his rear diffuser as Nitrogas looks to try and find a way through. Of course, the extra boost is now available. Oh, Nitrogas got it wrong. And he'll be delighted that his car ghosted there. Not that it should have done, but he'll be delighted that it has. But it drops him from 8th to 10th now. Chuck not quite close enough there in the Audi. ARL taking a sweeping line into 5 and 6. Jeremy Clarkson was almost a second clear there. Ooh, that was deep from ARL, who's back in the right car now. This quartet very close to one another. That quartet at the front also very close to one another. Sydney was saying his car handles like a boat. The amount of undulation in this track makes you feel like you are riding a wave. Here's ARL to the inside. At turn 13, he makes that move stick. And Chuck has got past Nitrogash for 10th place. So a couple of changes in the race thus far. Chuck looking very quick, actually. I feel that he's a little bit out of position because of his accident in the first race, if you want to call it that. He's now trying to find his way back through the pack. Ooh, he does hit the wall though. Don't know if that's going to give him damage. ATK is going to be on the inside at the third to last corner, and ARL's gone skating off the road and has broken his front wing. So ARL's in the pits, and I think ATK is also going in. I thought I saw ATK hit the wall. Chuck did as well, but I don't think he's got as much damage. So that quartet of cars has just strung out a little bit. Aaron's now safely on his own in 7th place. He's got a second advantage over Chuck in the Audi, but Nitrogash is right there. Into turn 4, the right-hander, which leads into 5 and 6, but not going to work. Whoa, just see the air that some of the drivers catch when they hit that curb. Can all go horribly wrong for them. They spin the wheels up a little bit too much. They can fire off into the wall there. As Nitro was in the wrong gear. He's put himself offline for a few corners. Back at the front, Merck very close to Jeremy. And the War Islander, that's a really nice usage of the battery. And turn 12 is certainly an overtaking opportunity. He moves into 9th place at turn 13. I think Nitrogash almost got caught out a little bit there. The War Islander, whoa, the overspeed he had on the Audi in front of us then was immense, but the Red Bull couldn't find a way past Chuck. I'll just go to Merck. These two at the front, now 2 seconds clear of Ashtube, who's got Sydney doggedly behind him. As the War Islander is going to start fighting, and I wonder if there's... But yeah, I was going to say that will have ended up in something being a disaster. And sadly, Nitrogash has gone off the road. I don't think he's going to be able to go around the circuit. War Islander into the pits as well, so a nightmare for those two. It looks like they've made contact with one another. Mercked very close to the back of Clarkson again. So far, no safety cars as of this moment. We do have 4 cars who've been in the pits for a change of front wing. And where will Merck move to? Well, he decided to save a little bit of his battery there in the Audi as they come through the left-hander of 13. But Merck glued to the rear spoiler of Jeremy. Ashtube doing a solid job in 3rd, fending off from Sydney, who I think has picked up... I thought he'd picked up damage. The way that the front wings are in this 2026 version of the car is a little bit off-putting, because in the old cars it looked like it was front wing damage when you looked at it at a certain angle, but these cars it's where the front wing end plate sticks out, so it can be a little bit misleading actually. But the front two, still separated by barely anything for that matter. Ginger Tiger and Clips are close in proximity. Chuck is in 8th place, and O'Stephen will be happy in 9th position, picking up some solid points as it stands. But here comes Merckx. He's on the inside for 4, but not for 5 and 6. And I feel like Jeremy has kind of got his defence lined up. He's going to look to the outside as Merckx. He's got to be careful. going through that corner, and he just clips the wall, does the Audi driver. But that is interesting, those two using their battery in slightly different ways in the opening few corners. I don't think Merck picked up any damage from that little tap of the wall. Oh, Stephen's out! Well, that is the curse of the commentator, and the safety car's been called. Oh, Stephen has gone out at turns 7 and 8. And I said before, didn't I, when qualifying started so long ago, that corner was going to cause drama, and it has done. So Stephen brings out the safety car. That's going to bring ATK, ARL, War Islander and Nitrogash back into play. And Nitrogash has just come into the pits, actually, to get a new front wing and a new set of tyres. I know Stephen leaves the lobby in disgust. So we go down to one AMR 26. And that's the one at the front. Nightmare for Stephen. Merck is following him into the pits. What about Ashtube and the Ferrari of Sydney? They will go in as well. This could become a 2-stop race as a result. Yep, Ginger and Clips go in. I think the only one who's likely to stay out is ARL, I think, because everyone else is on the wrong tyre. Has Merck jumped Jeremy in the pits? This is going to be tight. Oh, it's a new front wing. So Merck did damage his front wing. And I think he's been jumped in the pits by... Yes, he has. So Merck did damage that front wing in the Audi. And that drops him to 4th. Ginger Tiger moves into 5th place. He's got Clip still behind him, so those two were fine for damage. Aaron's out there now. RTG Chuck is in 8th place. I'm finding his name quite difficult to pronounce, actually, because it's RTG Chuck. But it's quite like the G, for anyone who does like sort of phonetics will know, that when you say those 3 possessives in a row, normally the third one is the finishing final phonetic, but the C actually is. So it's a little bit more tricky to say it than you might realise. Try saying it at home for anyone who wants to be a pretend commentator. Just say RTG Chuck. And you'll find it's a bit more difficult than you'd expect. ATK has decided to stay out. ARL did as well. War Island has gone and got new tyres, and it's a question of whether Nitrogash can catch the safety car. Although at this track I think there's more likelihood of a chance of that happening, because the circuit, the corners are fast, but they're not fast in a normal, well, I say a track spec Mercedes AMG. The downforce levels on that safety car aren't as strong as what they are in the Aston, who leads the way. Well, we are on lap 6. We have completed a number of laps without the safety car intervention. I was saying I'm a lucky boy. Those few laps on hards allowed me to learn the track, so it's kind of worked in a way. That's good. That's good news for ARL there at the back of the queue in 10th place. The War Islander will catch up on this lap. It's just Nitrogash. Oh, well, Nitrogash won't catch up now. He's got a broken front wing. So Nitrogash will be separated from the rest of the field. Nitrogash has tried to crash the car out of the race, and incredibly, that's not happened. It wouldn't make a difference to the race, but I'm just kind of shocked. I think with this F1 26 update, and for anyone else who's played the game will say the same thing as me, but the damage seems to have taken a step back. It does feel like you can get away with more ridiculous incidents, whilst the handling model feels fine. From my perspective, it feels fine. We've just seen Nitrogash plant the wall, and that hasn't occurred. We know damage is on, because you can clearly see, but that should have retired his car. So Nitrogash will have to carry on, despite his best efforts. That doesn't retire him, somehow. And he will go into the pits. So Nitro's there, and the War Islander is now circulating at the back of the safety car line. Now, in theory, we should have one more lap of safety car action. J-Ray's commenting that, yeah, I agree. I agree, J-Ray. That's, it's controversial, isn't it? That's the best way to describe that in a fair manner, an open manner. I wouldn't even say fair is the right word. But the safety car, no, the safety car's in this lap, so that's a very late call. And Ash Tube won't have had much time to prepare for that, and nor will have Jeremy, but I don't think Jeremy will mind too much. He'll know when he's going to pull the trigger. He's not going to go just yet. He's not going to go just yet. He's going to wait. Now he goes. That's a really good restart from Jeremy. He gets that going, and can Sydney find a way through at the start? Towards turn one, Ash Tube on the defensive already. He's gone through. Wow, that was brilliant overtake from Sydney to go through into second place, and Merck knows that he's got to get through. Oh, he's going to get squeezed to the wall. Sydney's going to have to try and defend two lines here. Ash Tube can't do anything, and he drops to fourth. A nightmare restart. Whoa, big bounce over the curb from Sydney in the Ferrari. Goes catching some air. But Merck knows that this is an important phase of the race here. He can't let Jeremy get away. If he does, the Aston Martin, I think, will be able to clear off up the road as Sydney glances the wall on the exit of turn 11. Round the banking of 12. ARL's got past Chuck. And ATK has gone a little bit wrong. And can War Islander get through on the inside of the Audi? He can at turn 13. He makes that move, signed, sealed and delivered. ATK running in 11th place. I fear that ATK has got damage here on the opening restart lap. It looks like he's fading away already on those soft tyres. And that is the case. And yeah, there you go. Confirmation that there is a broken front wing for the Mercedes. And there's another driver. And that's Jeremy Clarkson's out. He's crashed into the wall. The race leader has put it in the barrier. And it's offered a peculiar... He's hit the inside wall, I think. He's hit the inside wall. I cannot believe it. And ATK Gaming and Chuck will be delighted because they can go and get their damage sorted. And it's a free pit stop under VSC. Well, after saying that Jeremy Clarkson was going to drive away, I was correct, but not necessarily in the AMR 26. He's going to have to drive away in the Lada, effectively. That's the only car he's going to be allowed to drive after that accident. Oh, Jeremy will be kicking himself. Nitrogash moves into the points now. He's in 11th place, providing he doesn't crash at turn 20, as the track claims another car from the event. Are we going to finish with at least two cars? We're going to get no drivers finishing this race. It's just unbelievable. Well, this has been... I don't think I've seen an Invictus Racing League event with so much damage in it since probably the last time we raced around Monaco, actually. But the drivers are underway again. Back under green flag running. Sydney leads. I bet he wouldn't have expected that 20 minutes ago. He leads the way. Ash Tube's third. With a track limits penalty as well, I must add. Ginger Tiger's fourth. He's had a good restart, actually, because he's pulled away from clips. Everyone's there in sixth. Then it's ARL. Then it's the War Islander. ATK has now got those new hard tyres on, but Chuck also has as well. Well, Chuck's got new tyres on, but they're not hard. They're on medium. So Chuck definitely has to stop again. As I'm going to assume everyone else will have to, in addition to the Audi driver. The other incredible element of all this is that Audi are the only two teams with both cars left in this race, outside of that and McLaren. And Merckx got the lead, and that's where Merckx was using his battery before, up the hill towards 7 and 8. The Audi gets into the race lead, and now can actually follow with that. Ginger has been dropped in 4th, but he'll wait to see if anything happens up front. Everyone else after that is separated out by a second, and then it's Chuck in 10th, close to 80k. So we'll follow Merckx with this trio. Ginger doing it. Do you see how much room Ginger left to the wall there? It was marginal. He's really pushing to hang on to the front three. My goodness me, how close does he want to get to the wall at turn 17? Ginger is exploring every part of Madrid right now. I'm sure if he gets an opportunity, he'll be in the restaurant shortly. Into the right-hander, turn 22, final corner. He will have lost the overtake mode on this lap. He's more than a second away. And Sydney and Ashtube will be thinking about how to get in front of the Audi as Merckx deploys his battery. But Sydney nowhere near close enough. Over the curbs they go. Aaron has managed to find his way onto the back of Clips. But then loses all of that time in the next couple of corners. So Clips Kiri's having a really good, strong start to the season in the Cadillac. Obviously got that podium at round 1 at Singapore, which was against the odds, but he drove a very effective race that evening. And he's currently circulating strongly in the Caddy. Top 3 still all together. And the drivers in 2nd and 3rd will know how important it is to just stick with Merckx. That battery deployment, the extra power that they get when they're within a second of the car in front, is crucial to putting Merckx under pressure in this race. Because you feel as if there's ever a circuit that Merckx might be a little bit more infallible to, it's going to be one of the newest additions to Formula 1, which is this track. We saw him change a front wing before, so he's been in the wall. He can have damage to the car, but that only is going to come from pressure from the cars behind. As the War Islander goes through into 7th place, past the sister Racing Bull. Everyone taking slightly different lines into 5 and 6. I feel like the wider line isn't perhaps as good as the tighter line, but that's all to do with preference, realistically. So they go down the hill towards turn 10 and 11, and then into the right-hander at 12, which we've seen is an overtaking spot. But ARL just falling out of a second there to the Red Bull in front of him, and whether War Islander can now go after Iran and Clips remains to be seen. Chuck and ATK are close together into that same sequence of corners. Oh, Chuck gets it wrong. That's nice defensive driving that from Chuck. He just opened the steering wheel a little bit and then followed a natural tighter line, which I suppose you can get away with. Sydney has fallen out of a second from Merckx. We're going to see an overtake. There it is. Sydney lost the rear end of the car out of turn 22. And the championship leader is up to 2nd place. I know that Sydney is not enjoying this track. We are back at a more conventional circuit, a more well-trodden race circuit in the form of Mexico next week. We've got a yellow flag. Is that for Nitrogash? I think it is, who's gone up the escape road, but he's back on and going again. He is a lap down. And he gets out of the way of his teammate. Broken front wing on that McLaren. But Nitrogash just needs to stick at it. Yes, he's a lap down, but for his benefit, it does mean doing one lap less of this circuit. But it also means that he's still going to score points. War Islander circulating in 7th place. I'm trying to see if... Oh, the McLaren... Yes. Just trying to see if the War Islander had damage, but it's not the case. ATK just picks up a time penalty. We've got another yellow flag, but I think that's for Nitrogash just going slowly. On board with ARL. Under the bridge at Madrid. I also find Madrid quite difficult to say. ARL cutting the corner there at turn 19. It does have it is quite a clever play in terms of, you know, it's a ring technically in the form of a circuit. It does complete a loop, but it is quite. It's not like Madrid ring. It's Mad ring. That's quite a little bit difficult. Oh, and Nitrogash's day is compounded a little bit more with another pen. Oh, and Nitrogash is retired, and I feel with the way that this race is going, there very easily could be another safety car that could bring him back into play, but alas, Nitro has decided it's not to be. So we continue following ARL. Ashtube is away from Sydney now by a tune of 1.4 seconds. As you look at the top 10 cars left in the session, and ATK is also with Chuck. Those two, of course, having made their pit stop under the VSC earlier. But again, another safety car brings these two right back into play. This is far from over, this race. Ooh, was Chuck. Four-wheel drift. Through turns, those turns there. Björn saying, can lap cars overtake when there's a safety car? No, unless the leaders go through the pit lane. And then that's the only realistic way that the lapped cars can overtake. We are past the halfway stage. ARL still is in 8th position. Looking at the back of War Islander. They are catching up to Iran. Björn also commenting after that. That question's not relevant anymore. It is. I think it is still relevant though, because this game still can't allow lap cars to unlap themselves, and I think that's a critical function for replicating the real world. But I think we are at the point of the race now where the drivers are settling into a rhythm. As ATK is going to go past Chuck into 9th place. I feel that Chuck's tyres on those mediums have now gone the other side. I feel like ATK's hard Pirelli tyres are stronger at this stage of the race. And that does seem quite early considering it's only been 6 laps, but I do feel that that is the case. ARL still with the War Islander, who's catching Iran, and Iran is catching Clip, so I think we're going to have a fight here over 5th position. Ginger Tiger's in 4th, a couple of seconds away from the front 3. I wonder if Sydney will be thinking to himself, I'm just going to get a 3rd place and try and finish. But I also think that Sydney's broken his front wing again. Yeah, he has. There you go. So broken front right wing end plate. Front left wing end plate, I should say, on that Ferrari. He's got to be very careful with that so that he doesn't hit the wall again and damage it further. Riding on board with Iran, who is putting the pressure on Clips. Jeremy is not happy about his incident. I will ask him what happened. See what details we can get from the former race leader, which is a great shame. Aaron now has the War Islander with him. Looking from the back of the T-cam, effectively. Or the roof cam of the car. Into the left-hander at 13, then 14. 15 is a long, bruising right-hander for tyre wear. And then into 16 and 17, effectively. 18's this left-hander. And into the final corner. So Aaron is right with the Cadillac, but just is missing out on those last 2/10 to get into the overtaking area. Whereas I think the War Islander made it that time. And I know IRL's still hanging on. So this is going to be a humdinger of a fight, I think, over 5th position. Whether anybody does decide to pit is going to be a new question, actually. As Clips bounces over the curbs. Might as well call him Clips Kirby at this rate. RL swings the car through the next couple of corners. Oh, we've got a yellow flag out there. I think that's for Chuck. He's going very slowly into the pit lane. He seemingly has found a box of neutrals. Just needs to... There we go. He's found it. He's found first. Well, hopefully Chuck will get into... Something's not quite right on that Audi. Hopefully, though, Chuck can get it re-going. He's going to get lapped by his teammate. And Chuck is another retirement from the session. So, we started with 16 drivers, can you believe? We are down to 9. We started with 16. We've lost 7. We've nearly lost 50% of the lobby. As ARL starts to move in the wing mirrors of the Red Bull in front of him. ARL does have slightly older tyres. An ATK has crashed out, and that's another safety car. That is another safety car to change up the race. So ATK, who had sewn up 8th, well, effectively 9th place, that is not going to be the case anymore. He's crashed out. And ATK drops out of the race. And can you believe what I'm about to say here? 50% of the entrants have gone out of the race. ATK leaves the session. Absolutely shocking that we've lost 50% of our entrants from the race, and most of them have retired. And this comes back to what I was saying about Nitrogas before. You know, if he hadn't have retired, I know he was a lap down, but all of these cars are going to pit now. He could have unlapped himself, got round a couple of times, pitted, got a new set of tyres on. He could have made it round and he would be running in 9th place. But alas, that isn't the case. And as I said, they're all going to come into the pits. I think it'll be medium compound tyres for everybody. I can't see the softs lasting. I'll just watch as Merck comes in. Yellow wall Pirelli, so that's mediums for the Audi, mediums for the Racing Bull. Same on the Ferrari, and a new front wing for the Ferrari. That's going to be quite tight on the pit stop between himself and Ginger. Does he get the car underway? No, he doesn't, and Ginger's jumped Sydney in the pits. So Ginger is up to 3rd, Sydney 4th, and then, well, the War Islander's gone for soft. I don't know if he meant that. ARL with a new front wing. I've got to be saying, I don't know what the cost cap is like for these teams, everybody, but they will certainly be nudging the cost cap at the moment, the front wing changes we've got going on. So Warhound has gone soft. Iran's gone hards. Fascinating that for the Haas driver. Well, this is going to be... I think this will be quite a short intervention from the safety car. Loads of people watching. If you are watching, please do like the stream. It does really mean a lot to us if you did. Helps the visibility for the channel within the social media world of the algorithm that no longer works in people's favour anymore. But as I was saying, if you've just tuned in, and quite a few of you have, we started this race with a typical qualifying session, 16 cars entered. Then we had a glitched lobby. We already had 3 drivers crash out of the first few laps. We restarted the lobby with 13 drivers, and we've now had 5 more drivers retire, so that leaves 8. Jeremy Clarkson led on the restart of the lobby. He crashed out. O'Stephen hit the wall, went out. Nitrogash was a lap down, retired. Chuck had some form of issue going into the pits. I'm not quite sure what that was. He retired with a mechanical issue, we're going to call that. And then ATK crashed coming out of, I'm going to say it was turn 15. It looks like where he's gone off before the turn that leads you under the bridge. That's the only thing I can put it down to. So that's an update for everyone who has just tuned in. That is what's happened so far. We are seeing a retirement rate that is higher than most circuits, actually. I think, to be honest with you, maybe only Monaco. What a bizarre race. And yet we've still got 8 more laps of action after lap 20. It's just been one of those days. New circuit. A track that is not easy to drive around in general. If you don't do the practice or you don't do enough laps, this is a circuit that we've seen can bite people very, very fast. And that is not going to work out for them in the slightest. ARL at the back of the train, he'll just be happy to get to the end of the race, I think. Don't rule it out, everybody, that we could have one more safety car before the end of this race, genuinely. This is how it's going at the moment. It's all up in the air, but we will assume that the safety car's in this lap because everyone has caught the safety car train. There you go. Merck will take the restart. This time he'll have a lot more time to plan when he decides to drop the throttle pedal and go for it. And can Ashtube get a better restart than what he did before? Let's just get the telemetry up. We'll just see that Merck is currently doing about 52 miles an hour. I think Merck is... I think I know when he's going to go. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I just have a feeling he's going to go at a particular point of the racetrack. Ashib was wise to it. Still got one corner left. The safety car's going down the pit lane, so Merck should be able to drop the hammer when he wants. Nice restart, gets it going. Ginger's restart wasn't the best, to be honest with you. He's going to be under pressure into turn 1. Sydney doesn't find a way through. We're back racing again here at Madrid. I said Madrid this time. As Klipskiri gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit. Iran is going to be under pressure and Sydney is going to move into 3rd place using all the battery and more. But if Sydney can't extend his gap out by 3 seconds, then Ginger will take a podium Ashchi picks up another time penalty, and Merck will have just breathed a sigh of relief at that then, because he knows he can now afford to trip up on another penalty if he wishes to do so. It won't affect his race, realistically, compared to the two drivers behind him. Will Ashchi go for a lunge at turn 13? He decides against it. A little bit wide, that, from Merck. He's now under pressure. Those two have got away already from Sydney, who has just about kept... Ginger's just about keeping up with him here. I think that'll be really important for Ginger. If he can just latch on for a couple of laps to the Ferrari, he'll be able to pull away from Clips Kiri, who's got Aaron following. The Warrior Islander on those soft tyres. How they're going to last is going to be fascinating to see. And an ARL. So I feel like we're going to get a break in the action here into 2 or 3 groups. Sydney's outside of a second. Wow, and how close to the barrier was he then? So Ginger's going to get that boost, but Ashtube is going to get the lead of the race. Now Ashtube will have the overtake button here. He'll have the overspeed. Merck will be in the slipstream, but he won't have the same amount of power. But here we go. But Merck deciding better of it at 5 and 6. Over the chicane they go. A little bit of a wobble for the Audi. Sydney there in third. Sydney didn't get away from Ginger. I know that gap's over a second, but Ginger having a great race here. Clips, though, has the rest of the field with him. Can't believe the rest of the field is 4 cars, but there we are. It just shows you the rate of attrition tonight. But it has been a bit of a surprise, this race. For its first ever event with Invictus Racing League, it has certainly demonstrated how challenging this track is. War Island are just using a slightly different line compared to Aaron in front of him, but Ashtube leads the way. He's got so much more grip at the minute on those soft tyres compared to Aaron. But I've got to say, Aaron is doing a solid job with Clips, who doesn't seem to be exploiting the grip of the mediums thus far. Of course, there's still a number of laps to go. He might be just hanging on to them. Ashtube sets the new fastest lap of the race. But it will now be Merck who gets all of the boost available to him. And look at the difference it makes. This is going to be an overtake as ARL goes past War Islander. And he just sweeps around the Racing Bull and into the lead. And he'll try and pull away now. Sydney in third. He's not got that gap to Ginger just yet. It's very close. The War Islander's 7th and ARL's dropped backwards. So ARL had got past War Islander and that's no longer the case. On board with Aaron, who I feel has been threatening Clips for the majority of this race. I'm definitely noticing where the boost application is different between the drivers. It is quite noticeable, actually. Again, I won't say anything out loud just in case some of the drivers are watching, but there is certainly discrepancies between where the Mercs of the world and the, let's say, the ATKs of the world were using it. I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just the best comparison I can use for the time being. Into turn 20 they go. That little kink out is actually not a corner. This is, though, at turn 21. Ashtube still within a quarter of a second of the race leader. Nice exit for Aaron. Really nice exit, and he timed it well. He's going to get past Clips. Is he into turn 1? Well, they're going to give each other racing room, and Aaron was very fair then. That's the word I'm going to use. He was very fair. But now he's going to try and deploy the battery. At turn 4, they give each other racing room, a lot of racing room actually. But the Toyota-sponsored Haas car moves up to 5th place. And now it's Clips' turn to retaliate. At turn 7 and 8 they go, through 9 and 10. This is turn 10 and into 11. War Island are coming under significant pressure from ARL now. I have noticed a few times that ARL has used the inside of the circuit. Well, War Island are almost getting caught out by the overspeed from the Racing Bull there. I was just saying that I've noticed quite a few times during the course of this race, ARL does use the inside of turn 12 quite a lot more. I'm not sure how many times he's ever raced at Daytona or banked circuits, but I think that would spit him out if he was in a different type of car. That's a nice line through there, though. They're going to be side by side at turn 20. Little oversteer wobble for the Red Bull. They've just given each other racing room at turn 21, and War Islander drops to 8th place. I just think that those soft tyres have done enough. I just don't think there's any more grip left in that car. And I wonder if War Islander will decide to go for the fastest lap point. That is a possibility for the driver in 8th place, because if he starts to fall away from ARL, and he's saving a lot of battery there, as ARL again, the bunny hopper of the group, jumping over the curbs. Aaron has done a mightily impressive job here in 5th place on those hard tyres. I thought it was a strange decision to go for the White Wall Pirellis, but he's just, as soon as he got past Clips, he's just pulled away. Really good drive that from the Haas man. Ginger has led a relatively lonely race since getting into 4th, but he won't care a bit if he gets a good set of points for the Woking-based squad of McLaren. Your podium as it stands is Mercked, Sydney, then Ashtube, because Sydney has only got 3 seconds worth of penalties to Ashtube. So this is really key now. ARL down the inside of Clips. Now I'm not sure how that has come about. And the reason why I say that is because Clips was a little bit further ahead than ARL before they got to turn 20. So I can only assume that the Cadillac driver has made a mistake. And after looking like he was going to score a top 4 position before, that opportunity is just slipping through his fingernails now. Bit more conventional, that line from ARL, a little bit less so from Clips. There was a huge snap of oversteer at 5 and 6, and then he runs a touch deep. This is probably the last lap that we can get a safety car on as well. War Islander falling away now in terms of lap time, and Clips has a broken front wing. That would explain why he's just falling away in terms of lap time. But as I was saying, this is the last lap we can get a safety car on. IRL, he'll be happy with a 6th place finish. He'll be chuffed to pieces. Now, of course, whilst I've been talking, the other element to mention as well is that to be classified in the race, you have to complete 90% of the race distance. So that means you're allowed on this sort of race, you're allowed a 3 lap discrepancy, effectively. So once you get on to lap 27, you are classified. So even if someone crashes out of the race now, they will still be classified in the point scoring position. So War Islander would score. I think was that IRL hitting the wall then on the inside of turn 1? I think it was. I think IRL with the rear left tyre, almost a bit like when the drivers go into the Nouvelle chicane at Monaco. I feel like that was a little bit of a carbon copy where the drivers can clip the rear left tyre on the inside of the corner. ARL getting away with that. Oh, and another little nudge of the wall into turn on the exit of turn 9. Sydney and Ashtube are still close though. 0.4 of a second separates their positions. Wow, Sydney to the wall on the exit of 17. That was commitment. We've seen a few drivers run very close to the line. Astube is still keeping Merckx honest, though. Oh, snap of oversteer under the brakes for Sydney. We've seen that so many times in the last few seasons, that Sydney does have a tendency to have a very rearward braking distribution on the car, and that just seemingly slides it all over the place. Sydney having a big wobble then at turn 20. That gap's just pushed out over 2.5 seconds now. 2.67, 2.685. Astube is getting mightily close. Just watch the drivers as they go through the chicane. Sydney bounces it and loses more time. So if you try and take more curb, it actually costs you a lot more time than you realise. I am quite impressed as well that the drivers have... There's only been 2 drivers in the whole field who have picked up a time penalty. Oh, Sydney tapping the wall at turn 11. Hanging on for dear life in that Ferrari. He desperately wants to get that second position. For Astube, he'll be delighted if he can get that place. It'll extend his championship lead. He's only finishing 1 spot behind Merckx, so he'll only lose, I was going to say 3 points, but it'd actually be 2 because he's got the fastest lap of the race as well. So, oh, I think Astube, that might have been just a bit more of a clout of the wall than what Astube would have wanted. That might just be a bit too much damage. We'll have to wait and see. Although I have to be honest, Sydney was wide through turn 21. This could go anyway. Merckx goes on to the final lap of the race, leading by 2.6 seconds. A little slide from the Audi, and if we hadn't have had a safety car, we certainly would have had a second set of pit stops. But the R26 of Merckx is going to take 2 wins on the bounce as he threatens to do the comeback in the championship. We'll have to wait and see if he can. We're off to Mexico next week, don't forget. Astube 2.8 now in front of Sydney. It's all about deployment, I think. Oh, snap of oversteer from the Ferrari. He's hanging on by his fingernails. Everyone else is a little bit more separated out. I'm not going to concentrate on them. I have to say, War Islanders doing a great job on those soft tyres. I thought they would have gone by now. There's a yellow flag for War Island. He's just going very slowly now. 0.2 of a second in between second and third place. This is almost a little bit like the 1994 Japanese Grand Prix where Damon Hill beat Michael Schumacher on an aggregate score. Oh, another snap of oversteer from Sydney. He gets so close to that barrier on the exit of 17. But we'll follow our race leader in through these last few corners. He's had a great drive once more in Invictus Racing League. It's going to be, for the second time this season, a Merckx victory here in Madrid. A wonderful drive from him. Astube is not going to hold on to second place in the end. It will go to Sydney. So it'll be a Dutch 2-3 for that position. Ginger Tiger. This is the best race I've seen from Ginger for a while, actually. Very competent, very quietly assured. The McLaren might be distanced in 4th, but definitely the best of the rest tonight. Well done to Ginger. Aaron 5th. ARL. He's going to finish in 6th place. He'll be chuffed with that. Don't spin at the final corner, ARL. Nicely done. Clips Curry. He was having a good race, but a couple of broken front wings and a nice slide out of the final corner from our lobby host. He takes 7th. And the War Islander, I feel, has had his AI take over for him in these last few laps, or in this last lap I should say. He had completed the race distance, to be fair, so we will be classified in 8th place, but we just have to wait for his ghost to drive around. Wake me up when he gets to Madrid. Still going to be a long time. And there we go. Well, ARL saying scruffy, but made the most of it. Good points for the team. Buy one, get one free. Very true. Very true, that. For the Racing Bulls, a double points finish. And again, the only team in the whole field who got a doubles points finish this evening, as Merck celebrates as the race winner. Ashtube got fastest lap, so he'll get an extra point for that. And he got driver of the day for ARL and most overtakes. ARL will be chuffed with that. And then War Islander got the cleanest driver. Let's go through these provisional results. It's Mercked who wins the race, followed by Sydney and Ashtube to make up your podium. Ginger Tiger and Irun round out the top 5. ARL, Clips Kiri and the War Islander are inside the top 8. Those are the only finishes in the race. ATK, RTG Chuck, Nitrogash, Jeremy Clarkson, FRLO Stephen, Mikey, RK13, Owen, and one more driver who DNF'd as well, which is Wacky Jackie in the Williams. 8 cars finished, 8 cars retired. 50% retirement race in that one today. Well, that is all of the action here from the Mad Ring. Lots to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be some conversation to be had in the stewards area, following on from some incidents this evening in the earlier phase of this race. But the season will carry on next week at 8 o'clock British Standard Time for round 4 at Mexico. The week after that, it's a break week, so everyone will get to enjoy their holidays. But then we'll be back in August for round 5. So one more week to go before the break week for everyone here in Invictus Racing League. The session next week will be live streamed and commentated on, but unfortunately it won't be by myself. I won't be here. I'll be away on holiday. I'll be sitting on the pebble beaches of Lake Como, unfortunately, being able to commentate. But it will be, of course, commentated on next week. We'll talk more about that. We'll tell you more details about it when we get there. But in the meantime, I've been Jack TM53, your commentator for season 24. Thank you very much for watching, and where it might be in the big wide world. Have a good one. We'll see you next week for Mexico.